6 o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill, Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Bad news to close out the day, folks, and I don't say that lightly after everything else we've been through. The suspended officer who was set to go on record tomorrow morning with Agent Voss, my source tells me he's missing. Didn't show up for a scheduled check-in with his union rep this afternoon. Phone going straight to voicemail. Wife hasn't heard from him since this morning when he left the house saying he was, quote, meeting someone about tomorrow, end quote. Agent Voss has reportedly already opened a welfare check request through state channels rather than going through local police. And folks, I think that tells you exactly how much she trusts this department right now. Not at all. I don't want to speculate wildly here because a missing person deserves more care than a rumor. But I will say this plainly. A man who was about to speak on the record about what he really saw at that rail yard, a man who refused to sign a report he knew was false, is now unreachable hours before he was set to talk. I have covered a lot of stories in 30 years, folks, and I have never once seen that combination turn out to be nothing. Deputy Mayor Hell's office, still no comment on anything all day. Wild Bill Denver, back at 7. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Pray for that officer tonight, Millhaven. Whatever else you do, pray for him. Seven o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill, Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Update on that missing officer, folks, and I wish I had better news. State police located his patrol vehicle about an hour ago, parked at the edge of the old rail yard access road. Same location as Saturday night's confrontation. Engine cold, doors unlocked, his radio and sidearm still inside. No sign of him. My contact with Agent Voss's team tells me they're treating this as a possible abduction rather than anything else right now. Specifically because his personal phone was found powered off and placed neatly on the driver's seat. Powered off and placed neatly, folks. That's not a man who dropped his phone in a struggle. That's either a message or somebody wanted us to know exactly where to look. Agent Voss has requested state search and rescue resources for the rail yard area overnight, and I'm told she's asked Millhaven police to stand down from leading that search themselves. Stand down, folks! She does not trust this department to find their own man. And after everything we've covered together this week, I can't say I blame her. Deputy Mayor Hell's office issued one line this evening, quote, "Our thoughts are with the officer's family," end quote. One line. No offer of city resources, no urgency, just a line. Wild Bill Denver, back at 8. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Something wanted that officer stopped before tomorrow morning, folks. And I think we all know why. O'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. No word yet on that missing officer, folks. Search and rescue still working the rail yard perimeter as of this hour, and I'll bring you anything the second I have it. But I want to take a minute and tell you something a little closer to home, because I think it matters, and because I promised this station I'd always shoot you straight, even about myself. There's been a car parked outside on the street across from our lot the last 2 nights. Dark sedan, tinted windows, just sitting there, engine running. I noticed it Saturday night when I left, figured nothing of it. Noticed it again last night, same spot, same time, near enough to midnight. Tonight, driving in, it was already there before I arrived. I walked over to get a look at the plate. It pulled off before I got within 30 feet. Folks, I've had my share of angry callers and cranks over 30 years. That comes with the job. I don't scare easy. But this doesn't feel like a crank. This feels deliberate. And given everything else I've reported to you this week, given that suspended officer sitting somewhere out there right now, given 2 men from an office that doesn't officially exist showing up at my front desk, I'd be lying to you if I said it hasn't crossed my mind that I might be next on somebody's list of loose ends. I'm not going anywhere, folks. I want to be clear about that. But I wanted you to know. Because if something happens to me, I want somebody besides me to have noticed it coming. Wild Bill Denver, back at 9. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Nine o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Search and rescue is still out at the rail yard, folks. Nothing new to report on that officer as of this hour. And I know that silence is its own kind of hard to sit with. I'll keep pushing for word. I want to follow up on what I told you last hour about that car. It wasn't there when I stepped out for air around 7:30. It was back by 8:15. Same spot. And this time, folks, my cell phone rang twice while I was standing right next to it, looking at it. No caller ID either time. I didn't answer. I don't think I needed to. I also got back to my desk tonight to find a drawer I know for a fact I locked before I left yesterday, sitting open. Nothing missing that I can tell. My notes are all still there, which somehow bothers me more than if something had been taken. Somebody went through the trouble of looking and being careful enough that I'd almost not notice. I called station security for what that's worth around here, and I called it into police too, for what that's worth, given everything I've told you this week about this department. I don't expect much from either call, if I'm honest with you folks, but I wanted it on record, on the air, in front of all of you, that I noticed. Whoever's doing this, I want them to know I noticed. Wild Bill Denver, back at 10. WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. I'm not stopping. Ten o'clock, Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver, WKRV 1150, the Rebel Frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. Search and rescue crews pulled back from the rail yard about an hour ago for the night. Still no sign of that missing officer. Resuming again at first light. I'll have more the second there's more to have. Folks, I need to tell you something, and my hands, I'll admit it, my hands are not steady right now. Went out to my truck about 20 minutes before air tonight, and there was a note under my wiper. Plain paper, block letters, no signature. It said, and I'm reading it to you exactly as it's written, quote, "Some stories aren't yours to tell," end quote. That's it. 6 words. No threat spelled out. Nothing I could hand a police department that's already shown me exactly how much it cares about getting to the truth this week. But folks, I didn't need it spelled out. I understood it plenty clear. I sat in that parking lot for a good 5 minutes before I came in here tonight. thought hard about whether I read that note on air at all. Whether that's exactly what somebody wants. Me announcing I'm scared, giving them the reaction. But I decided a long time ago in this business that the day I start editing myself out of fear is the day I stop being any use to any of you. So here it is. Somebody wants me quiet. I am telling you about it instead. Wild Bill Denver, back at 11. WKRV 1150, the Rebel frequency. I'm still here, Millhaven. I'm still here. $11 Millhaven, Wild Bill Denver. WKRV 1150, the Rebel frequency. Here's what they don't want you to know. I want to start with the officer because I know a lot of you have been waiting on word all night. Nothing new since search and rescue paused at dark. First light, they're back out there. That's all I've got, and I'm sorry it isn't more. Now, about that note. Phones have been ringing non-stop since I read it to you last hour. And I want to thank every one of you who called in just to check that I'm all right. That means more to me than you probably know. My station manager also called, understandably rattled. Asked me again to think seriously about pulling back for a few days. Let things cool down. I told her the same thing I told you an hour ago. I'm not stopping. But I'll be honest with you folks, because that's the deal I've always had with this audience. Something about tonight feels different than the last 4 days. The car outside, the drawer, now a note on my own truck, in a parking lot with cameras that apparently didn't catch a thing according to security, which tells you something about those cameras or something about whoever left it. I keep asking myself, who has the reach to move through a locked parking lot, past cameras, without leaving a trace? That's not a random crank with a grudge, folks. That's someone with resources. Or someone with abilities I haven't wanted to say out loud yet, even after everything else I've told you this week. I'm going home a different way tonight than I usually do. First time in 30 years I've thought about that. Wild Bill Denver, back at midnight. WKRV 1150, the Rebel frequency.